What's up, everybody? This is Steve Sterlacci, and today I definitely did a thing. I bought a Gibson. I did. And I bought this one in particular, which is a Greeny model. The reason that I did this was because I'm a huge Gary Moore fan. Look, I bought it as a tribute to my favorite player. To buy a real Greeny model is 5 figures, and this is something that I can use, I can abuse, and not have to worry about. And it actually isn't terrible. And be sure to stick to the end of the video when I tell you how much I paid for it and my final thoughts of it. So for starters, it's really not bad. I mean, it looks great. It's got an ABR1 style bridge, and I'll get to this in a little bit, where this is kind of one of my least favorite features also. But we have a flame maple top, which actually is pretty convincing. This kind of reminds me of a Les Paul Faded that they came out with in about 2008, where there's a very light nitro finish on it, and it looks kind of like this, where it's a little bit dull. It looks great on camera, I think. It's not going to shimmer, so you see how that's the light reflecting. Normally you'd see like a really clear reflection, but this actually doesn't reflect light that well, which photographs really, really good, and it looks awesome. The headstock is pretty convincing. I would say that the mother of pearl could be a little bit better and more convincing, but the look and shape and the logo are pretty spot on. The neck is a one-piece neck, which is a surprise because typically these would come with a 2-piece scarf joint, which is a little bit cheaper to manufacture. But this is all in. It's a mahogany body with a flame maple top and a rosewood board. So it structurally is very similar to a real one. It's got Alnico 2 pickups, which are going to be kind of a low output type of PAF sound. Got a metal jack plate here. The back is reliced out. And I would say that the appearance and look of the guitar, I mean, I'd give this an extremely high score as far as looks go. It looks exactly the way I want it to, and that was a very big surprise considering I basically bought this as a in-stock, off-the-rack model, or if you will, where I saw that they had a Greeny available, and I hit the buy button. Got to my house within, I think it was like 9 or 11 days or so, and I was really curious to put it through its paces and see. I was mostly concerned with the look and finish because I hate the way, I mean, I have a bunch of Fireflies and cheaper Les Pauls. I also have real vintage and newer Les Pauls. One thing that they never get right on import guitars is the feel of the neck, but as far as this one goes, this light nitro finish is really nice. Like almost too nice. It actually feels real. It feels like a real nitro guitar. I mean, because it is a nitro guitar. I don't get why they could suddenly finish these in nitro for an affordable price, but I think the factory that this comes from is an actual guitar factory, as opposed to just like kind of a mass producing type of thing where there's no real care taken. As far as the fretwork goes, this has had no issues. I did a little bit of an adjustment to the neck to get it to my playing specs, and after doing a setup, I really can't find any dead spots, and I've got the action pretty low as any Les Paul would be. The action and playability is all there. I would call the neck shape between 50s and 60s. It's not super thin, but it's also not chunky at all. It's kind of a perfect medium for me, and I really like the way that it feels. It's also supposedly a bone nut. I don't see why it wouldn't be if that's what they're advertising, but again, you never know what you're getting with these. But it looks pretty good to me, and it plays in tune, and it doesn't bind up, which is great. The tuners are actually okay. They're kind of the, what is it, like the Schaller replacements that Greeny actually has on it, and they're kind of weathered out. And so far, it holds in tune pretty well. I did play it at a show, an outdoor festival in the heat. I've left it for a couple of days sitting, and it holds tune pretty well, which is very surprising. And it's got the mismatched knobs like, you know, the real Greeny would, the same way that it was when Gary played it. We got the finger wear here from, I guess from Gary's picking hand, or maybe Peter Green's picking hand, where this got all scratched up. And it's a pretty faithful recreation of my favorite guitar player's iconic Les Paul. And if you're on a budget and you can't afford a real Gibson, I mean, this is... I'm not going to encourage you to get one. I'm not going to say, hey, go out and buy one, but it's pretty cool. And all the hardware is reliced out. Onto this bridge. I feel like the bridge is the weak point for me. Some of the saddles are a little bit loose and a little bit wiggly. This ABR is also not a true ABR because it doesn't sink into the body. It's still a female thread and then one single dowel, which is a little bit weird. And then the tailpiece, then the bridge goes on with the wheel. So there's a lot of pieces of metal, different pieces. I'm probably going to swap this with a Faber ABR1 kit where it's just going to be one solid stud into the body and then the thumb wheel with a real ABR bridge, which I think would take this to another level. All right, so let's get to playing it. I'm going through my Analog Outfitter Sarge, and I got a couple of pedals here that I'm going to kick on, but right now I just got this with a little MXR reverb. Just going to go through the pickup selectors so you could hear a little bit of a clean sound of what these Alnico 2 pickups sound like. Oh, also, the pickup's not reversed. Why, if you're making a Greeny model, would you not have this upside down? But I guess I can't fault them. I don't know what their deal is, but that's definitely going to be either flipped or I'm just going to replace the pickups at some point. The middle position is also not out of phase, which would be, if it's a true Greeny, the out of phase thing would be happening in this middle position, but I don't mind that because I probably wouldn't actually use that. Well, let's hear that neck pickup. A pretty good sound. There's really nothing wrong with that. Let's hit it with a little bit of a light overdrive. This is a vintage Nobles ODR1. See if I lost tuning a little bit. And by the way, all I did to this was put a new set of strings on it and some setup. I did the intonation and adjusted the neck. All right, let's hit a Prince of Tone here, with a little bit more of a distortion sound. Let's go neck pickup here with the volume up. Did on a little bit of a delay with that. Up here we're losing a little bit of sustain compared to like a real guitar. All right, let's go back to that Nobles. I'm not really liking the way the Prince of Tone sounded with this. know, I'm not sold on the sustain here. Could be because the frets are a little bit grindy, but yeah, I don't know. I would like a little bit more sustain out of the higher notes up here, especially if you're gonna try to play Gary Moore stuff. All right, so that is my Gibson Greeny, again, that I got as a tribute to my favorite guitar player. If you ever buy one of these, don't ever try to pass it off as real. If anybody asks questions about it, just tell them straight up that it's fake. It's very uncool to have one of these and try to pass it off as a real Gibson. It's kind of a not a great look, in my opinion. Anyone that's ever asked me about this so far, I tell them straight up right away, look, it's fake, but it's cool, so check it out. So what did I pay for this? This cost me $370, shipped to my door from their factory or warehouse, whatever it was. Again, this was an in-stock, off-the-rack model that I paid for, and I'm very happy with it, to be honest. It actually plays pretty decent. Could use a little bit more sustain out of it, but that could be maybe tweaked with some fretwork. But overall, and maybe the bridge, I think that the Faber bridge will be a huge, huge upgrade to this, this Jeep, whatever the hell this thing is. But yeah, a new bridge and maybe some fret polishing will turn this into a very legitimate guitar. If you guys want to see a part 2 to this video where I go through and modify it, I'll put some real legitimate Gibson custom shop pickups in this, the ones that they don't sell in the stores out of a real Gibson custom 59 reissue. I'll put those in here. I'll put all top of the line wiring in here, and I will replace this bridge with a real, like I said, that Faber bridge. So if you want to see that part 2, let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.